9 novels that take place in Hudson County, New Jersey is the topic of today's episode of the J.R. Perez podcast. Welcome back to the show. My name is J.R. Perez and I am the brains and muscle behind this operation. On this occasion, we will be taking a look at a few novels whose authors chose Hudson County to play out the story. And as always, we will also be enjoying a nice piece of music I procured, as well as a reading of Belly Laugh by Randall Garrett, a short tale about the strains of war. Getting to know works that have made a setting of Hudson County is something that I'm very intrigued by, as a resident of the place and also as someone who would like to write stories set in it. I am very much hoping to discover, when I read them of course, a new way to see the place, perhaps a way that can enhance my practical experience within it. For now though, we are only going to get acquainted with the list of works. We will explore the premise of each one, and I will look into some of the reviews to see what people are saying. And as I've said before, after having read them, I will talk about them on the show, whether in a brief comment or an entire show's worth. Now, imagine finding that special someone, that person you connect with, the person who completes you. Imagine building a life with them, getting married and having your first child. Huh? Life is good, no? Now, imagine that person getting sick and being hospitalized and away from you, leaving you not only with a newborn to take care of, but also a mountain of bills to deal with, mostly medical. What do? How would such a life play out? Or what would such circumstances turn that life into? This is what Coming Back to Me by Carolyn Levitt offers us. A peek into this type of situation. A very relatable one, I think. Not only because these things do happen, as this story seems to present it to us, but also because there are always unforeseen circumstances that come up in everyone's life and that we all have to deal with. This novel is rated at 4 stars out of 5 on Amazon.com and has readers expressing sentiments such as, in a word, wonderful, and an excellent read with real characters who tug at your heartstrings. It sounds very profound, like it's a story we should all experience. It actually makes me think of a quote by Rod Serling, the creator and presenter of The Twilight Zone. It is a quote that I always default back to. It was something he said in the pilot episode of The Twilight Zone as he was introducing the show. He said,
"An audience will always sit still and listen and watch a well-told story."
An audience will always sit still and listen and watch a well-told story. To that, I would add read. An audience will always sit still and read and listen and watch a well-told story. And that's something I like to keep top of mind as I explore different stories. We can very easily end up with set ways of doing things, like sticking to the same authors and the same types of stories and genres. But there is certainly plenty to choose from, and there are stories that could very easily hold our attention if they are told well, which I'm sure is the case with Death in a Hot Flash by Jane Eisenberg. Remember Murder, She Wrote? Well, the concept behind Death in a Hot Flash seems to be very similar. Imagine for a second being an English teacher at a local college and being convinced by a colleague to teach research and writing to his students, a group whose chosen area of study has quite possibly nothing to do with the topic. But before doing so, your colleague turns up dead, and the prime suspect is one of the students. And while it definitely looks like murder, you don't believe the accused is guilty, and you make it your business to find the real culprit. How does that sound? The novel holds a 3.7 out of 5 rating on Amazon.com and has readers expressing sentiments such as loved it and teaching can be murder. I picture it as an interesting adventure to have during summer in Hudson County. It is definitely better to walk around and investigate then than during the cold months. Now, that doesn't mean that adventures can't be had in the cold weather or during off-summer months. In fact, it seems as though many can only be had during these types of months. Take the Hoboken Chicken Emergency by Daniel Pinkwater as an example. Imagine being tasked with procuring the Thanksgiving turkey, and instead of bringing home a turkey, you bring home a chicken, but this chicken weighs 250 pounds and has a mind of its own. Now, where and how you got it is irrelevant. You brought it, it's here, and it's the cause of a hilarious chain of events. How does that sound? I can only picture how this would worsen the pandemonium of setting up a Thanksgiving feast. This one is actually a children's book that is over 45 years old. It was published in 1977, and as of the end of March 2023, it has a 4.6 rating out of 5 on Amazon.com and has readers expressing sentiments such as "great book, great author, keeps you laughing," and "my kids loved it as much as I did." Now, kids definitely are great lovers of stories. And another tale they would definitely enjoy is Hoboken's Christmas Surprise by E.L. Trent. It is a story that looks to teach kids to think about others. The townspeople of Happy Hollow learn an important lesson from a homeless man who lives on the outskirts of town. He is a person who has made many friends by giving them gifts of trinkets and such that he finds it fixes up. And it is something he does all year round. The lesson learned is the importance of serving one another. And soon, the people decide that they must somehow repay this kind man for his thoughtfulness, and it is on Christmas Day that they do so. It sounds like a great story with a great lesson, and it's a kind of tale we all need to store in our hearts and minds. It is very easy to get sidelined by all the noise nowadays and forget the importance of being kind, caring, and considerate, among other things. And the need for such traits seemed to be in full swing in The Rest Stop by M.L. Jacobs. Imagine being lonely and meeting someone online. Someone who you seem to vibe with and match well with. You spend 3 months interacting long distance, talking and texting, I'm sure daydreaming too, until one day you decide to meet at a local motel. However, upon meeting and taking things up closer than they've ever been, you start to see each other's true colors. And you learn of the evil pasts, the sinister secrets, and enormous lies that you both come with. What do? How do you proceed? Can you be kind, caring, considerate, non-judgmental, and see how and where things go? This is the proposition that The Rest Stop lays out on the table, and it definitely makes for interesting reading. According to reviews on Amazon.com, the book is amazing. One reader actually said, "I read the complete novel from start to finish in one sitting. I could not put it down. It looks as though the 4.5 out of 5 rating is well deserved." What if you moved away? What if you left behind possibly all you've ever known in order to pursue a dream? How would that make you feel? Would you see it as an open road full of possibilities or as a road full of risk and uncertainty? Whatever your case may be, In Hoboken by Christian Bauman brings us the story of a musician who heads to Hoboken from New York City and starts a band. In the process, he meets many interesting characters, struggles to make meaningful music, among other things. And it is those experiences that constitute the journey that we are presented. This one also sounds like a very interesting read, which I also picture in the summer months. I am very intrigued by the music scene and the different processes that musicians go through as they try to build a career. This book holds a rating of 3.9 out of 5 on Amazon.com and has readers expressing sentiments such as, "The characters held my interest and I kept wanting to know what would happen to them, and that's what makes a book great." Now, if that's the case, then Judy Blume's Then Again Maybe I Won't is quite possibly a powerhouse of a book. Imagine you and your family relocate to another city. How would that alone change things for you? Now add changes in the personalities of everyone around you due to the new circumstances, which essentially makes them strangers, puts distance between you and them, and makes it seem as though things are spiraling out of control. Does this premise make you want to know more? I know it makes me want to know more. The book holds a 4.5 out of 5 rating on Amazon.com and has readers expressing sentiments such as, "This book was so good," and "fantastic." The last 2 books on this list are short story collections. One is A Place Like Hoboken by William Keller. The other is The Listerine Lunatic Hits Hoboken and Other Strange Tales by Patricia E. Flynn. Both collections bring us stories set in Hoboken, New Jersey, and they both enjoy 5-star ratings on Amazon.com. Readers sing praises for both books, and I myself plan to treat each story by itself here on the podcast. These have been 9 novels that take place in Hudson County, New Jersey, and as I have said before, their existence eluded me. Based on their respective Amazon ratings, they are powerhouses of the written word, and I look forward to reading every one of them and letting you know what I think. I will include whatever links I can find of the authors' websites and social media in case you're interested in investigating further. It will all be in the description section as well as on a dedicated blog post on my website jrperez.com. The link to the blog post will also be in the video description. And now it is music time. Today it's a hard rock tune, again from the YouTube audio library. It is a sweet instrumental track by one Ethan Mikesell called Vindicated. Let's have a listen. What do you think? I really like this one, but there's different information about it depending on where you look. You see, the YouTube audio library says it's a 2-minute and 33-second song by Ethan Mikesell and called Vindicated. Shazam, however, says it's called Vindicated but by one DJ Nobody. And the YouTube link it provides takes you to a version of the song which is 4 minutes and 43 seconds long. It is this version that I will provide the link for. Whatever the real facts and details are, the truth is that it is a very cool tune. Now, it is story time. And again, don't worry, just like the song, it is short and sweet. As I mentioned at the beginning of the show, the story is called Belly Laugh. It was written by Randall Garrett and it is a short tale about the strains of war. Additionally, it takes place in a world where Russian robots exist. Let's have a listen.
Belly Laugh by Gordon Randall Garrett. Me? I'm looking for my outfit. Got cut off in that Holland tunnel attack. Mind if I sit down with you guys a while? Thanks. Coffee? Damn, this is heaven. Ain't seen a cup of coffee in a year. What? You said it. This sure is a hell of a war. Tough on a guy's feet. Yeah, that's right. Holland tunnel skirmish. Where the Ruskies used that new gun. Uh-huh. God, it was awful. Guys popping off all around a guy and him not knowing why. No sense to it. No noise, no wound, just popping off. That's the trouble with this war. It won't settle down to a routine. Always something new. What the hell chance has a guy got to figure things out? And I tell you, them Ruskies are coming up with new weapons just as fast as we are. Enough to make your hair stand on end. Sugar? Christ, yes. Ain't seen sugar for a year. You see, it's like this. We were bottled up in the pits around the tunnel for 7 damn days. It was like nothing you ever saw before. Oops, sorry. Didn't mean to splash you. I was laughing about something that happened there to a guy. Maybe you guys would get a kick out of it. After all, we got to keep our sense of humor. You see, there was me and a Kentucky kid named Stillwell in this pit. Pretty big pit with lots of room. We were all alone. This Stillwell was a nice kid, green and lonesome, and it's pretty sad, really, but there's a yak in it. And as I say, we got to keep a sense of humor. Well, this Stillwell, a really green kid, is unhappy and just plain drooling for his gal back home. He talks about his mother, of course, and his old man, but it's the girl that's really on his mind, as you guys can plainly understand. He's seeing her every place, like spots in front of his eyes, nice spots doing things to him. When this Ruski babe shows up, my gun came up without any orders from me, just as she poked her puss over the edge of the pit and, Oh, thank you kindly. It sure tastes good, but I don't want to short you guys. Thank you kindly. Well, as I was saying, this Ruski babe pokes her nose over the edge of the pit, and Stillwell dives and knocks down my gun. He says, "You son of a bitch!" Just like that. Wild and desperate, like you'd say to a guy if the guy was just kicking over the last jug of water on a desert island. It would have been long enough for her to kill us if I hadn't had good reflexes. Even then, all I had to do was knock the pistol out of her hand and drag her into the pit. With her play bollocks, she was confused and bewildered. She ain't a fighter, and she sits back against the wall staring at us, deadpan with big, expressionless eyes. She's a plenty pretty babe, and I could see exactly what had happened as far as Stillwell was concerned. His spots had come to life in a very adequate form, so to speak. Stillwell goes over and sits down beside her, and I'm very much on the alert, because I know where this courage comes from. But I decide it's alright, because I can see the babe is not belligerent, just confused kind of, and friendly. And willing, kind of a whipped little dog willing. And man, oh man, she was sure what Stillwell needed. They kind of went together like a hand in a glove, natural-like. And it followed, pretty natural, that when Stillwell got up and led her around a wing of the pit, out of sight, she went willing, like that same little dog. No, you guys, two's enough. I wouldn't rob you. Well, okay, and thanks kindly. Well, there I was, all alone, but happy for Stillwell, because I know it's what the kid needs. And in spots like that, what difference does it make? Yank, Ruski, Mongolian, as long as she's willing. Then you guys, Stillwell comes back out, wall-eyed, real wall-eyed, like being hit but not knocked out and still walking. I know what it is, some kind of shock. I get up and walk over, take a look at the babe where he left her, and I bust out laughing. I told you guys there was a yak in this. I laughed like a fool, it was that funny. As much as I had time to before Stillwell cracked. It was enough to crack him, the little thing that pushes a guy over the edge. He lets out a yell and screams, for Christ's sake, nothing but a bucket of bolts, nothing but a couple of plastic lumps. That was when I hit him. I had to. He was for the birds, Stillwell was. An hour later, we got relieved and a couple of medicos carried him away, strapped to a stretcher, gone like a kite. They took that robot too, and its clothes, but they forgot the brassiere, so I took it and I've been carrying it ever since, but I'll leave it with you guys if you want, for the coffee. Might make you think about home. After all, like the man says, we gotta keep our sense of humor. Well, so long you guys, and thanks. End of Belly Laugh by Gordon Randall Garrett.
Okay, your thoughts? Any questions, comments, concerns? Let me know. Randall Garrett was an American science fiction and fantasy author who contributed to many science fiction magazines of the 1950s and 1960s. This concludes the 4th episode of the J.R. Perez podcast. I will now proceed with the customary call to action. If you like what you heard and would like to come along for the journey, be sure to follow us, or me. You will find all the pertinent links related to today's content in the description area or comment section in whichever platform you happen to be listening. If you know of others who would also enjoy the podcast, please share it with them or otherwise inform them about it. I would be most appreciative. That is all for today. This is J.R. Perez signing out.